Hi, today is day 7. We're going to do a practice and review of what we've covered so far. We're also going to go over yesterday. I couldn't understand why the difference was between two sets. We had two sets, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, or whatever. When you run a set, basically it drops the duplicates. So it's deduplicated, even though you have duplicates over here. But when I was doing the difference, I wasn't able to understand why A and B, what the difference was, because 1, 2, 3 and 3, 4, 5, what's the difference? Well, it's actually a difference is a left subtraction. So the answer was 1, 2, right over here. You see that underneath, and that basically says what is in set A that's not in set 2. Well, 3 is in set 2, so 3 won't be printed, but 1 and 2 is not in set 2, it's in set A alone, right? So you're able to just see that value right there. And yesterday I went for an hour, and I was only trying to go for half an hour. So today I'm going to try and put a timer and keep track of it. So day 7, let's do a get status, get add, get day 6. We pushed up the stuff. It's not pushed it for some reason, so I will duplicate. I'll put the right commands in and deal with that. Let's go to day 7 really quick. Over here, we're basically going to do a quick mini project, right? And then we're going to review some of the content, some of the concepts like data types, and we're going to look at lists and stuff and everything. Once again, and dictionaries, tuple sets, that kind, and their behavior, right? So we'll quickly do that. We'll ask ourselves some questions around that, so that we can like answer them on the fly in the debugger, so that we're basically, this is a good way to learn, is to quiz yourself. Look, there's no test, there's no teacher here, there's nobody reviewing my grades. So if I test myself, I'm basically figuring out how much I've learned, and I get a very good idea of what I've learned and what more I need to understand, right? And that's really the key, right? So okay, so let's do a print statement, contact book, right? So let's do print right. You run it, it prints out welcome to the contact book. Okay. What this does is this instantiates a dictionary. Right, so that's Python instantiation right there. So let's write a couple of functions over here. Let's do def let's put name and phone as two variable inputs into our function. How can we do this? We can create a dictionary which is contacts, right? And then what we can do is we can give it an access of name, right? So if we access this with name, we can actually give it the name value, right? So so the key would be name, but the value also would be something that we pass into the function, right? So what happens is when we pass the name and the phone number into the function, it will build a dictionary called contacts, and inside contacts the key will get nested as the name that we pass to the function, and the value will be the phone. That's what that is doing. And I want to change this to contacts, right? So what this code is doing in line number 8 is basically appending this dictionary up top, right? That's what that's doing right there. Let's put a print statement so that we can see what we're putting, right? And then we want to do an F string, and we want to do 2 of these. I'm going to put name, phone. We could put in something like added name and phone to contacts, right? So what happens is when you call this function and you pass data to it, you pass a name and a phone. If you remember, when we did functions earlier, did we do functions in day 5? Yeah. Here you look at this, like we passed in a piece of information and it passed out this entire statement, right, with a print wrapped around it. It's the same thing that we're doing over here, right? Excuse me. Let's write another one. Let's do def search contact. So if you want to search a contact, we would just put in the name, right? That would be sufficient. And basically we're going to say, hey, if name in contacts, which is the dictionary up top, if you remember, control minus. Okay, so you can see it. There it is. Right, so for name and contacts, print got the name here. Found name, right? elif. If the name's not found, we can just go directly and we can print out that it was not found, right? So we can go print, and we can just go here and we can say put F, go here, put F string, go in here, put this, and put contacts name. Let's write another function. Update. So the name, add, search, remove, update, and list. And inside each one of these functions, what we're going to do is we just put the return true because we don't want it to whine while we're updating these functions. But basically we're dealing with the name that's coming in here, right? So in all of them, if the name comes in, we can basically do operations on the dictionary that's inside over here already, which is the contacts dictionary, which we instantiated up here. And later on, when we do our call methods, all of them, when we actually call these functions, we'll be passing in data into them right now, which is going to be in a string in a name, right? And you have the squiggly y because it doesn't have a colon in that, right? So we can go, let's see. So we type in if name in contacts we're going to delete contacts name, right? So we're going to print here. We're going to go name deleted contacts, else print right. Update contact. So it's the same thing, it'll be append, right? So if name in contacts, if name in contacts, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do contacts dot append. Well, it's a dictionary. So you would go boom like this, you pass in the name, update contacts, and then you would put in the, I wonder if you would pass phone in here too. You have to, right? Because you would go equal to new phone, right? And you would print something like this. name, new phone, name, along with new phone. Right? Else print right, list contacts. So we're basically just gonna take this print. So if name in contacts, just print it. Print do for name phone in contacts, not values, it's items. So this is an inbuilt function for dictionary iteration. So we print name and phone here. Boom. Okay, so we'll do that. It's gonna go. Okay. With the program, I think this structure is good for us. Let's do some usages here. So we're going to add Alice and Bob, and we're going to go to list contacts. There you go. Right. So we're going to run it. Let's see if there are any errors. It's unlikely. Well, you never know, right? There has to be problems. Nobody codes perfectly without any issues. Come on. There we go. There we go. There we go. Did it run? Did it run? Did it run? I don't know if it ran, but we're gonna try and run it again. There we go. List contact type missing one positional argument. Well, yeah, obviously, list contacts should have it should not take anything in. It should just be a function call directly. Is it up here? It's contacts. You see why this is crying? Because it should be plural, because the dictionary is plural. If name and contacts print name not found, it has to take in a name. Alice and Bob, right? So let's go to Alice. Capital A. We're gonna put quotes, list contacts. Do it. Take 0 positional arguments, but none of, yeah, because I deleted it like a goon. There you go. That's the whole output. Right, so an address book was added, right, with these people to it. Add contacts. So you can take this and you could make it big, and you could just go Bob 1, Bob 2, Bob 3, Bob 4, right? And list contacts and one. What am I doing? Okay. What I wanted to do was this, so that it prints all of them, right? It adds out all of them. And you can list the same one again, right? So when you run this, basically what you're doing is you're calling all these functions, adding them and listing them, right? You can do an update contact with a new phone. So you can add this number here, you can change this number to this, like that. You can go here and hyphen and put that in there and do update contact, and you can do update contact to that too, because now we already have contacts, right? So if you comment this whole thing, you come down here and you do list contacts, right? And you do Bob 4, right? And you run this program, it's going to give you an updated value of Bob 4. Well, Bob 4 was not found. Why is it not found? Let's run it again. 1, 2, 3. Update contact 3 and 4. Let's do this. Let's say, hey, list Bob 1. It's a function call. So output this and print out all right, there you go. So Bob 1 is none, right? So it's, for some reason, it didn't add the contact name and phone. So I gave the name and phone, so let's debug it. These are your contacts. You only have Alice so far. So we're not able to add this, right? So if you go to add contact Bob1, it should, so right now if you do contacts, it only prints out Alice. If you run this function added Bob, right? So if you do contacts, now it has 2, right? So then if you do list contacts Bob 1, it should run. There it is. So why did it print none? Add contact Bob 2 as well. Added this. So the contacts has this Bob 1 and Bob 2, right? So the way to do it, to reach it, is contacts Bob 2. Boom. Okay. There you go. So this is not the right way to call it. So the list contacts function is functioning. Boom. Took it. List contacts Bob 2. Let's see if it works. There you go. Bob 2 was found in contacts, and then it printed all of the contacts because this iterator right here, right? Okay, so you can put list contacts Bob 2 and do that. You can stop the debugger and you can run it and you'll get an output. There it is. Bob 2 is found in contacts. Okay, took a minute, but I guess it wasn't buffered properly or whatnot. Yeah, okay. So this is basically a contact book that we built, right? Since you're adding, you don't have Bob 4, so Bob 4 is not going to be found, was not found, right? You're going to see that as well when you run it at the end, the last one, right? So Bob 4 was not found. There we go, right? So this is the way. This is the way. Okay. Okay. I pushed the address book up so that you guys have this and you guys can dig around with this code. Let's quickly look at a couple of things, right? So we're gonna do this together to do a knowledge check. This is a knowledge check, right? So let's shut off our function calls for a second. And we have to wrap this in the next 3 to 4 minutes because we want to go into, we want to close on time, right? So let's quickly go over variables again, right? So what's x, y, z, and this, right? So what should the output be? What is z? X plus y, 10 plus 20. So the output should be 30. What is z, right? So output is 30. There we go. Okay, so that's a green check mark because we did simple addition. What we did is x and y variable assignment of integers, not floats or decimals, but integers, right? So let's look at all of our different types that we have. Again, so what is this? This is a string type, right? What is this? This is an integer. This is an integer, and this, we had problems with this. If you remember yesterday when we were, or day before, a couple of days ago when we were doing Fahrenheit to Celsius we were making a calculator. We went online, we stripped the formula from Google, and then we figured out what the Fahrenheit was, 98.3, and then we added that 98 point whatever. We were not able to get the 98.3 because we had an integer at the input, and the moment we changed the input to a float, we were able to give a point number. That's the difference between 56 and 57. That's what that is. And then this is a Boolean, right? So this is a float, or decimal in math, like we call it a decimal, right? And then this is a Boolean. Booleans were in control flows. We would use them to control the flow of the program by getting true and false conditions, right? So again, let's look at the calculator for a second. Day 5, let's go down to, this is the calculator. Let's try and run this file. It's asking for a Fahrenheit. We give it 98.3, 98 point, let's give it 99.9. It says 37.72 degrees. So if it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, in the US, you're 98 point whatever the temperature. In Fahrenheit, it would be 37.72 because of this calculation. Now, you see this float right here? This is what I'm talking about. You change this float value to int like that, and you put in 98.9, it'll 99.9, it'll error out. It'll error out because it'll say input, the value is base 10, so you can only give 99.9, 99. You can't give it a decimal. So you get a 99 and it works, right? So this is where we got hung up the other day by between integers and floats. So if you give it a float, you know, 98 point whatever, and it works with it, right? It can do the correct conversion, right? Anyways, so we're done with that. Let's go back here. So that's what these are, right? And then let's type in the function type. Now why do you use the function type, right? If you don't know what this is, for example, like if you are not sure on the type of data, use the inbuilt type function in Python. Okay, so if you run this, this is going to print out what those values were, right? That there's a there you go. So that's important. That is always going to help you deal with your development, right? So, and then let's finally look at collections, right? If you remember, tell me what kind of collection this is. This is a list. The first one, the collection type is a list, if you remember, because of the square brackets. So let's print it, and you can get it by index. So this is the one index. It's banana. If you switch this to 0, you're gonna get out apple. So you see this banana is gonna get switched to an apple, right? There you go. That's the apple right there. All right, let's go to a dictionary. Right? So what's going to happen is username is John and age is 25. So what's the user's name? The name is John, right? And let's print the age as well. What's the user info age? This uses keys, right? So you can access data. You can access dictionaries that use hash maps under the hood by keys. All right. There you go. Right, and then finally we have unique IDs, which are sets, right? So 1 2 3 3 3, so it's going to print out 1 2 3, right? We know this already from yesterday. We covered sets towards the end, but here we go. 1 2 3. You can put a bunch of threes in here, as many as you want, and you can put 5 6 6 5 2 again, 2, you know, like this. So now you can run it, right? And the output's gonna be what? 1 2 3 4 5 6. So you can go here like this. You're gonna pen what the output's gonna be, just like that. Okay, thank you for joining me today for day 7 revamp. We wrote a program about the contact book and how to access it, how to append it, how to update information in it, how to iterate through a dictionary of contacts with these custom functions: add, search, remove, update, and list contacts. We did a little bit of a quiz where we went over the different kinds of variable types that are essential in Python. We went over how the type function and how you can actually find out what the data type is, and we reviewed collections that we covered yesterday in day 6 lecture 6, because data in production applications is vast. Python data structures help you manage that data and access that data. To quickly access the data, the different algorithms that we can get into later, which we will do past our 30 days. When we get into algorithms, we're going to look at those so that we can actually get into vast storage of data, and we can remove it out. Like Hadoop uses different kind of algorithms to store the data, so that you can use those algorithms to access that data quickly in record time, instead of using taking like a linear amount of time to go through the keys of the nested values of the data in those structures, right? Anyways, thank you so much. See you in the next lesson for day 8. For lesson number 8, and then we're gonna go on to basics 230, right? Thanks. See you guys tomorrow, and have a nice evening. And